I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and of course, we come to, without doubt, one of my favorite action films of all time. To me, a quintessential action film, action classic, and that is Rambo First Blood Part 2, which is part of this collection right there. Rambo First Blood Part 2. God, where to start with this film? This film, to me, is pure badassness. It is such a great fucking action movie. If you're wondering where I'm typing, is I want to confirm. I think this could have a higher rating on IMDb. It's a 6.2, but I still think that's too low. It should be much higher than 6.2. I feel this is a film directed by George P. Cosmatos, of course, directed these two films behind me, Cobra and Leviathan. Of course, I know there's talk, because when he did Tombstone, there was an interview with Kurt Russell many years after, saying that, well, George P. Cosmatos was hired just to be a guy who Kurt Russell could tell what to do, and that he found that out from Stallone, and that Stallone pretty much had George P. Cosmatos. So really it was Kurt Russell who directed Tombstone, or really it was Stallone who directed Rambo 2 and Cobra. So I don't know how much of that is true or not. That'd be a question. I'd love someone to ask Stallone. But at the same time, George P. Cosmatos did Of Unknown Origin, Leviathan with Peter Weller, and I think those are two very good films. So I think George P. Cosmatos had something to do with Cobra in this film. I just think it's sad that George P. Cosmatos is kind of being pushed off like that, because I can see Stallone having a good hand in the production because he was a star. He helped write the script. And actually him and James Cameron. Yes, James Cameron had a hand in the script. Of course, James Cameron would say that he wrote all the action and Stallone took care of all the politics. Of course, that's funny coming from Cameron. Avatar. Yeah, because Avatar doesn't have politics. Yeah. Right. Right. Rambo First Blood Part 2 beats the shit out of Avatar. Sorry, Jimmy Cammy. It was directed by George P. Cosmatos, and I know originally this film, there was talk of it was going to be a buddy movie where Rambo would be partnered up with this other guy played by fucking John Travolta. Can you imagine that? Rambo First Blood Part 2, Stallone and fucking John Travolta being buddies? Like a buddy movie? Thank God that idea got vetoed. I don't know if Stallone or whoever vetoed that idea. Thank God, because they said no, let's have Stallone be solo, and it was a much better film than a fucking buddy film with him and fucking John Travolta. Come on now. But this film, to me, this is a film that this came out in 1985, which you could say is the biggest year for Stallone's career. I mean, you could say Rocky, the first film, came out, but this same year, 1985, he had Rocky 4, which was the biggest Rocky film ever, and he had this film, which is one of his biggest hits ever. I mean, this film, Rambo First Blood Part 2, in 1985 made like $150 million, and that's when ticket prices were very cheap. Made like 300 and some million dollars worldwide, shitloads of rentals and sales. So if you add it all, it could be like 400 or 500 million dollars worldwide total. Shitload of money, just huge. And Rambo First Blood Part 2, I like saying that, has a good ring to it. It sort of was the film that really kickstarted the one-man army films. The one-man army, man on a mission. I mean, you just say there were other films. I mean, you had Commando at the time, Missing in Action. But Rambo 2 really just put that into the stratosphere. It's like, oh, wow, there's Rambo 2. Let's do similar films like this. So you had Red Brown, Strike Commando, or you had this film called Rampage, and you had all these other films that were taking points from Rambo 2 because it was such a humongous hit. And the production of the film, you have Jerry Goldsmith coming back as the composer. Fantastic job. Definitely my favorite of the Rambo scores. Might say is my all-time favorite Jerry Goldsmith score as Rambo First Blood Part 2. Because I love it from the opening titles like dun dun ba da 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 or da 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 just a really great, adrenaline pumping, awesome score by Jerry Goldsmith. I would say is my favorite score from Jerry Goldsmith. And I'd say this is my second favorite Stallone film. I mean, Cobra's first, but Rambo 2 just has so much going for it. It's one of those films that when people talk about sequels, people will talk about Terminator 2, people will talk about Godfather 2, but not many people bring up Rambo 2, and I don't know why, because it is my all-time favorite Rambo film. It'll always be my all-time favorite Rambo film. It's the Rambo film I grew up with the most. It's the Rambo film I grew up watching the most. I just think, when I think of action films, this is one of those films I put up there and like, action films should be like this. Action films should be like this. I love these one-man army type of flicks. Not every single one, but a lot of them I do. You have Richard Crenna coming back as Troutman, and Troutman here is more of an ally for Rambo. You have Charles Napier. He's sort of a guy, a businessman, more of a businessman than anything. And I haven't read the novel, but I remember reading somewhere that in the novel, or I don't know if it's an adaptation, that it started off with Rambo being like I don't know if it's like institution or being this really dark cell. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure people will have more knowledge of that than me. But I like the fact this film does actually take place after First Blood, where Rambo's in prison. He's in a chain gang breaking rocks, and Troutman comes in. Richard Crenna, once again, I really miss this actor. He does a really great job as Colonel Troutman. He comes in and he says, I'm sorry that you're in this hellhole. I try to get you out, but I have a mission for you if you want. And that's why I mean this is like a quintessential, because how many times have you seen that now where I have a mission, would you like to accept it? And it just, I can't help it. I feel giddy talking about this film. It's so much, such a awesome flick. But Troutman talks to Rambo and says that there's these POWs and you're supposed to go there. We want you to go back there to Vietnam. Do you want to? And that way I'll get you out of here. Pretty much he'll have a full pardon. And Rambo accepts, but then he goes, and I really love this bit of dialogue. Colonel, do we get to win this time? This time it's up to you. I love that. And then you have the Jerry Goldsmith score with that build-up of that score, and then Rambo, First Blood Part 2, in fucking flames. I love that. That is such a build-up. I'm like, that is pure badass. And I even remember, I wish I still had this, the First Blood clamshell videotape. I wish I still had this, because it had trailers before and after the film, and I wish I had that First Blood clamshell. It was a clamshell case. Just, again, it had a bunch of trailers after. I wish I still had that. And basically, what happened was, in the beginning, you had a teaser of Rambo First Blood Part 2, and I loved the teaser. The teaser alone, and which is parts of the film, when he's getting geared up, and he has the knife, and no man, no law, no war can stop him. Rambo First Blood Part 2. I just imagine, I wish I could have seen this in the theater. Just seeing that teaser in the theater, let alone this movie in the theater. Just, man, I wish. But no. I could see Evil Dead remake in the theater, and I could see Pain and Gain in the theater. But no, not something like Rambo First Blood Part 2. No, can't do that. But Rambo accepts the mission, meets a Kreese from fucking Karate Kid, Martin Cove, playing another dick, like he was in Karate Kid. Here playing another dickhead who works for Charles Napier, who's no longer with us. He's greatly missed. He's been in a lot of stuff. He's in this film I really enjoyed called Deep Space. Again, he's the businessman. All he cares about is, he gets drinking Coca-Cola cans, and he's, telling about the mission, and Rambo's mission is to take pictures, and Rambo's like, take pictures? He's like, no, don't engage the enemy, just take pictures. So Rambo accepts, goes there, has a little bit of problem. Well, first off, he talks to Troutman because he figures out Murdoch, Charles Napier, is full of shit, because Murdoch says he's part of this unit that never existed, or wasn't where he said it was, and Rambo says, you're the only man I trust. And Rambo has good reason to. And during the flight, he jumps, but then, of course, before that, you have the great little montage with the great build-up of Jerry Goldsmith music that he ties it. I mean, fucking tying shoes, they made it badass in this film. And he just, like, these little knives, puts in this thing that's on his belt, gets his fucking knife, arrows, and then what you don't see later, C4 tipped explosive arrows. Which, I gotta bring that up. Why can't we have another film that has C4 tipped explosive arrows? That is fucking awesome. That is an awesome idea. Cause it's like, okay, you got a gun? Oh well, I got a C4 tipped explosive arrow right in your face. I honestly wanted to see that in Rambo 4. I wanted to see that one more time, but that didn't happen. But I want to see that in a movie. I want to see that in the Expendables movie. I want to see that in some movie. Hell, I'll make a fucking Raphael movie, and instead of guns, he's going to have arrows, and he's going to find some ammo, and it's going to be C4 tipped explosive arrows. I'm going to have Raphael do that. I want C4 tipped explosive arrows back in movies again, goddammit. See, I'm easy to please. Just do that, please. C4 tipped explosive arrows. Can you imagine that in an urban setting? Like in a city? Just blowing up fucking windows, cars. I'm easy to please. I can be easy to please. That's such an awesome idea. And seeing Rambo 2 and 3 just C4 tipped explosive arrows. And Rambo 3 blowing up I'll get to that Rambo 3. Blowing up that chopper. Oh man. Again, big smile. Big smile. But I mean, he goes on the mission. He gets caught up in this plane and meets his contact, Julia Nixon-Soul, who plays his character Cole Bow. And Julia Nixon-Soul, she's been in a few stuff. She was in Sidekicks with Chuck Norris. She was in Double Dragon. At least until she got killed in Double Dragon. But Julie Nixon's soul has been in a couple stuff, but her most famous role is this, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And as it goes on, they find this camp. Now the camp is supposed to be deserted, but it's not because they find prisoners there. And Rambo he says, "Fuck these picture taking shit. I'm gonna get these POWs." And fucks people up. He throws a knife in the guy's chest, shoots an arrow right into someone's chest, shoots an arrow into someone's fucking head. And you actually see the impact. It's not like one of these things you do nowadays as quick cuts. You actually see the arrow go into this fucking guy's head or into the guy's chest. Gets the POW. Then they go back on this boat, but then the people on this boat sold them out. And this guy slaps Rambo, but a big mistake, because Rambo gets his little knives and fucks him up, gets a shotgun, fucks them all up, practical blood squibs. Practical blood squibs. Let's have that happen again. Practical blood squibs. Not that fucking difficult. And then it just keeps going. He fucks all these people up with a shotgun. There's another boat coming. He's got to duck down, gets a fucking rocket launcher, blows a fucking boat up, tries to get out. This asshole grabs him, takes his knife, stabs the motherfucker, gets out in the nick of time, goes to get his rendezvous. Richard Crenna's with them, but then Charles Napier he hears that, oh my god, the guy actually has a POW, tells him to abort. Richard Crenna tries to help, but they put a fucking gun on him. Assholes. So they have to go back, and Rambo is left behind. And that's when you have, not only you have the Vietnamese there, but you have the Russians come in. You have your bad guy, Steven Berkoff, who would be the bad guy in Beverly Hills Cop. I think because Steven Berkoff, that when he was hired for Beverly Hills Cop, Steven Berkoff, that's when it was going to be a Stallone film. But then that didn't happen. Eddie Murphy came on, and they kept all these other people. Most of that cast was hired for a Stallone film, and now it's Eddie Murphy, and I think that's why Beverly Hills Cop kind of works, because that's a little different dynamic. But Steven Berkoff became a villain for Stallone in this movie. And I'm trying to think. You really sympathize with Rambo. I mean, he gets dunked in mud and pig shit and whatever, and he's got fucking leeches on there, and he gets hauled up, he's butt naked. Guys like cutting leeches off Rambo with a fucking knife. Then they tie him up and on this like little bed spread thing and juice him up, electrocute the shit out of him. Because they want him to talk, and they want him to say, I'm sorry, and this and that, and talk to your people and say these lines. He doesn't want to do it, and he even says, fuck you. The only reason he does it is because they're going to kill this other guy. Or they're going to fuck his eye up with a hot knife. So he doesn't get about himself? No. But for someone else, he will. So again, you sympathize with Rambo and much more of a hero. So he gets in contact, and then that's where you find out that Julie Nixon's soul has actually snuck in, and she's hiding underneath the floor, and Rambo notices that, and you have that great line where it's like, Murdoch, I'm coming to get you. And then Jerry Goldsmith's music explodes, like, dun-dun-dun. Gets this big muscle guy, beats the jump, throws him on, twists the fucking electrocute his ass, gets out there, gets a machine gun, throws fucking grenades, get the fuck out of there. And then, once they do, just exciting stuff. There's Cobal, there's Rambo, find, oh my god, they're in love, they kiss, and right when they kiss, she leaves, and she gets shot, just like that. And I'm like, man, Rambo has some shit luck. God damn. He's born under a ladder on Friday the 13th. He just has shit for luck. And thankfully, I remember hearing on the features And actually, I think it was the editor. Look at the editors. Or do they show the editors? No, they don't show the editors shit. But I believe the editors, one of them is Mark Goldblatt. Which actually, Mark Goldblatt, that's a guy who would go on to direct Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher, I believe. And he was talking about how originally there was this moment where Rambo would scream, no! But, see, these people actually know what the fuck they're doing and go, no, that's stupid. Cut that out. Now you look at today. You look at Star Wars Episode 3. You look at X-Men Origins Wolverine. What do? No! And it's stupid! But they cut out here and it works. You don't need that. They need to say, hey, we don't need that shit. It's fucking stupid. So they did. It's just Rambo. She dies in his arms and he hugs her. Then you get the idea that he buried her and it's in the rain. I love the music. It's like he grabs the mud that she's buried under and gets pissed and immediately goes for the bow and arrow. Goes up, building up the Jerry Goldsmith's music, rain coming down. I'm like, that's iconic there. And hunts these motherfuckers like a pure badass he is. He's fucking them up with bow and arrows, dragging them off to meet their maker. Yeah, that great one where he hides in the fucking mud on the wall. He's covered himself in mud. And you don't realize it until he opens his eyes and you see, oh my god, he's behind him. Gets a knife, grabs him, stabs the shit out of him. I'm not saying it's like gory, like Rambo 4 gory, but it's still R-rated. And yeah, I keep mentioning the score because it's just fantastic. And he goes off and there's a village nearby. I know I'm giving everything away, but it's from 1985. I mean, for fuck's sake. If you haven't seen Rambo First Blood Part 2, get off your ass and watch it. He takes C4 tip with explosive arrows, blows up. He blows up fucking Jeeps. And I remember one time I was watching a friend of mine, Efrey, and like because there's people in this village, and then he blows up. But then I was saying, like, wait a minute, did Rambo just blow up the entire village? Because so did he just blow up all those people that were in that village? Did he just kill all those people that were in that village? But watch it again, realize that actually it's not him blowing up the entire village. It's he did blow up the entire village. He's blowing up little sections that the bad guys are in for the village. But, you know, I watch it, like, wait a minute, is he blowing up the entire village? Aren't there people in there? Did he just kill the entire village? But it's one of those things that is just simple stuff that make you smile. You know, Rambo shooting a C4 tape explosive arrow, making something blow up. You know, it can make your day. And it just keeps going. It keeps going where there's this asshole who helped kill... He was the guy who killed Cole Bow, and Rambo stands there like a badass. Guys shoot him, can't hit him, and Rambo just takes his C4 tape explosive arrow, slowly takes aim, waits, shoots, blows the guy up into pieces. Before he can even do anything, the muscle man asshole comes down this helicopter and he runs, and Rambo has to jump off the fucking waterfall as the guy drops this big old bomb. He gets on the helicopter, there's a struggle, throws his ass off, gets this motherfucker, steals the helicopter, goes in, wipes out the entire bad guys, fuck up, you know, missiles and machine guns, and ah, you know, there's that moment, ah, it's like, yeah, fuck them all. It's Rambo winning Vietnam. That's what it is. It's Vietnam 2, the revenge. It's the revenge. It's like, we lost Vietnam? No, now Rambo is going to win it. Single-handedly is going to win Vietnam for the US of A. Fuck yeah. Just fucks everybody up. And then, yeah, that, you know, gets that great iconic image where he gets that M60. It's like, I want to, it's like, no, use the M60 more, man. Gets the POWs, get out of there. Then you have this good helicopter chase between Rambo and the bad guy. But Rambo fakes his ass out, lands, thinks he's crashed, gets a bazooka, blows the shit out of fucking Stephen Burkoff's helicopter, comes back home, fucks up all the technology. Because you realize that at the beginning of the film, Murdoch's talking about how, this technology is all that, it's a new way of doing things. And, Rambo says, thought the mind was the best weapon. Times change for some people. And it really just goes to show you that fuck the technology, fuck all this shit. Rambo just needed a bow, an arrow, some C4 tipped explosive arrows, and his training. And then you have some really good lines in this. Like I said before, do we get to win this time? Or Murdoch, I'm coming to get you. You have sequences in between where Richard Crenna is arguing with Murdoch, like, why did you leave him there? What's going on? You only care about money because if you find out they're POWs, people will be pissed. And, when Vietnam, they wanted this amount of money for war reparations, and you guys said no. And they have this argument. Yeah, well, you forget one thing. What's that? Rambo. Or before that, Troutman says a good line, well, you call hell. He calls home. That's really, I think he has some really memorable lines of dialogue. Like at the end, he fucks up Kreese from Karate Kid, knees him in the nuts and knocks him the fuck out. Shoots the shit out of all the technology and computers. It's like, fuck this. All I need is a gun. My gun and your technology, my gun wins, motherfucker. Scares the shit out of Murdoch. He's like, there's people out there. Find them. Well, I'll find you. You think he's going to stab Murdoch, but he doesn't. And then you have that ending where he walks off and has a good conversation with Murdoch, has a good conversation with Troutman, Richard Crenna, and Stallone saying about how he doesn't hate his country, that he wants his country to love us as much as we love it. That's what I want. I always love this last line, what will you do, John? No, he goes, how will you live, John? Day by day. I always loved that because I thought that was a good, simple sentiment. That's how you don't live. Day by day. That's kind of something I've taken on upon myself, that how you just take things day by day. And Rambo walks off into the distance and you have the song Peace in Our Life. Peace in our life. Remember the call. A tear for my brother. Think of them all. Home of the brave. Yeah, that song Peace in Our Life. And it's just such a rousing, action-packed, fun, entertaining action flick. That's why I call it a quintessential action film. It is a quintessential action film because you look at this, one-man army movies or action films should take a page in this because the score works wonderfully. The action scenes, they're practical, they're well done. You have interesting new weapons like the C4 tipped explosive arrows. You have a hero who's granted a man of few words, but you also have some good lines of dialogue. Richard Crenna is a good support for Rambo, as well as a very good actor. Very capable direction by George P. Cosmatos. Even if Stallone had a help in it, both did a really good job. Julie Nixon-Soul, she's really good as Cole Bao. You really like her. Really felt bad when her character got killed. Speaking of dialogue, you also have that scene where I always remember this was in Gremlins 2. That's one thing I love about Gremlins 2 is that Gizmo, this is how bad Rambo is. Gizmo wants to be Rambo, and Gizmo's watching Rambo 2. So later on when Gremlins are fucking with him, Gizmo gets a red bandana, does like a paper clip, and like a matchstick, and I love that shit in Gremlins 2. That's one of my favorite parts on Gremlins 2 is when Gizmo becomes Rambo and fucks up this spider gremlin. But even Gizmo's watching this scene on TV, and you have the line where Rambo says, "To win a war, you have to become war." And during that scene, you have Julian Nixon-Soul's character asking Rambo, why did they pick you, this and that? And Rambo says, "Because I'm expendable." And she goes, "What mean expendable?" And then later on, when you think Rambo's going to escape from his Murdoch's helicopter coming to get him, they say goodbye, and Cobalt says, "Rambo, you not expendable." And of course, someone later on, when the Expendables came out, they would ask Stallone, "Did that title come from Rambo 2?" And Stallone said yes. That the title for the Expendables came from that line of dialogue for Rambo 2. I don't know if he was making it up, and he just didn't, just wanted the guy to be happy, but I'll just believe that story that he did think of the Expendables title because of that scene in Rambo 2 where, you know, Rambo says that he's expendable. And I don't know what more I could talk about this film. This film became such a phenomenon. I mean, you had Rambograms where people, instead of a telegram, it'd be a Rambogram. So I remember seeing some footage where someone dressed in a Rambo getup would give someone like a telegram or something. You had the Rambo cartoon, which I fucking did not like. The only thing I liked was that it had some of the Jerry Goldsmith music in it. I thought that was cool. But, not having Stallone do the voice of Rambo and turn into more of a G.I. Joe where he has all these sidekicks, and I didn't like the voice they have for the guy who played Rambo in that cartoon. And it was so weird. Like, these are R-rated action movies, and you're trying to turn into a cartoon? And it's like, I love the Jerry Goldsmith's music in there, but come on. At least that's still, what the hell? But it became such a phenomenon, and I remember the rivalry between Schwarzenegger and Stallone. Schwarzenegger was a little bit pissed because Commando did well, but Rambo 2 did a lot better. So I think Schwarzenegger, because at that time, they weren't really close friends. They had this rivalry. And again, I think Schwarzenegger was pissed that Rambo 2 made more than Commando and was a bigger hit than Commando. Because Schwarzenegger is a competitive guy, and it's like, shit, I lost. So, and I love Commando. I love the Commando to death. And Commando, if you really look at it, you could probably say Commando probably has more action than Rambo 2. But Rambo 2, I like more. I love Commando. I mean, picking between Rambo 2 and Commando is like, that's like, damn, do I want a pizza or pizza? It's both good things. Do I want, for me, it'd be like, oh, do I want a hamburger or do I want a chicken sandwich? I like both of them. Am I a titties or an ass man? It's like, I win either way. you know, uh, Picture between those, I mean, that's a great time in movie history, or that's a great time in a year. Should I pick between Rambo 2 or Commando? I wish we had more of that today, man. But Rambo First Blood Part 2, if I had to pick, I probably like Rambo 2 more because because I think the seriousness helped. And that's why my problem has been with especially Expendables 2, is because if you don't do this kind of film, I think you should take more of a page of Rambo 2, where you guys took it for seriousness, that you took it face value, that you took it serious. Thus, I think it made more of an impact, made more of a entertaining film, that these are real bad guys, and they're, granted, you could say the whole film is a fantasy, it's a comic book, but it's an entertaining one. Is that, what I'm getting at is that for Expendables films, especially the second film, I would rather have them be more like Rambo 2 and the tone. But that's just me. But Rambo First Blood Part 2, I don't know what more I can say that hasn't been said. I love Stallone in this film. I love the Rambo character. The action scenes are great. Fucking everybody with a helicopter and C-4 with explosive arrows. They got a lot of stuff in 1985. Practical. The area they used for the jungle worked very well. The acting worked. The bad guy Steven Berkoff worked. The, I really don't have any problems with Rambo First Blood Part 2. Watching this again, it was just a joy. It was fun. And I don't know what more I can say other I'd be repeating myself, but Rambo First Blood Part 2, I think, is a kick-ass action movie. And I would say absolutely my favorite Rambo film. And the reason I paused was because I know for a lot of people, First Blood is their favorite because First Blood took it more seriously, and First Blood was more of the drama about the character of Rambo. But Rambo 2, that's the one I grew up with the most. It's the one I rewatched the most. It's the one I had the most fun with. It's the one I found the most entertaining. And I still think there's seriousness in it. You deal a little bit with the politics, but to me, the politics were not in your face. That's what my problem with Machete, or as I call it, Machete, was the politics was so much in your face it got away from the fun and entertainment and the badassness. Here, the politics are there, but it's not full force like this. And it just, to me, it works very well. It's a great, epic, iconic, man on a mission, one-man army. And I miss those kind of films, those one-man army movies. They don't do that anymore because it's too cheesy. It's too corny. And honestly, folks, you rarely hear me say the word cheesy because I don't even know what the fuck cheesy means. I think once in a while I use it just because everyone else uses it. But at the end of the day, what the fuck does cheesy mean? If you want to tell me that Rambo 2 is cheesy, I'm sorry. I found nothing funny. I found nothing unintentionally funny. I found nothing boring. I found it badass. I found it kick-ass. So if badass and kick-ass is cheesy, then I'm going to eat a lot of fucking cheese. So, I don't think the Rambo films is cheesy. Because again, I'm not one of those guys that say cheesy a lot in my reviews. I think once in a great while. So I'm like, what the fuck does cheesy mean? But Rambo First Blood Part 2 is utterly badass film. Great action picture. If you haven't seen it in a while, give it a watch again. And either way, I think it's one of the great sequels of all time. I do say that. It's definitely one of my favorite action films of all time. It's definitely the film that really made me love the Rambo character. As you can see right there, that's one for Rambo 3. And there's ones over here for Rambo 2. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care. And stay tuned for Rambo 3. Later.